All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. JP, 730 Sports. Gonna do a quick one here, something I want to get into. I'm a 49ers fan, admittedly, and we are in the midst of struggle right now. But I want to talk about the benching of Colin Kaepernick specifically, and how easy it would be to fix this problem. If we stop talking about mechanics and receivers and offensive line and start talking about mentality. Colin Kaepernick has gotten to the point to where he doesn't know if he needs to go left or right. So instead of making a decision, he just stands there. Many people have been there, I get it, through various aspects of their lives, but we're talking about an athlete. You can look in his eyes and tell that he just doesn't know what to do. He's lost his confidence. He's confused. He's not sure what he should be doing. And a prime example of that is the St. Louis game when you have Torrey Smith standing wide open without a corner covering him. And Colin Kaepernick doesn't even look over the defense. So therefore, he doesn't notice, and he just runs the play, which is a running play. He is so concerned with not messing up that he is doing nothing. And it's an easy fix. It really is. When he first came into the league, Colin Kaepernick did not care about what people thought. He didn't care about Trent Dilfer. He didn't care about Merrill Hodge and all of these people trying to break him down and tell him the type of quarterback he should be. He just played ball. Now he cares, and he's confused. The fuck you attitude is gone. You can see it. And once you lose that attitude, you're basically a puppet with 1,000 strings attached to you and everybody's pulling. You don't know where to go. You don't know what to do. In the offseason, he went and did some work with Kurt Warner to work on his mechanics and going through progressions, and that was a good thing. And you actually saw it in the Minnesota game. And the game after that, I forgot who they played. It's been such a dreadful season. But he was stepping up in the pocket and dumping the ball off to his outlets. And he was doing a very good job of getting rid of the football. I don't know if he thought the work he put in during the offseason would just automatically make him better 16 games through the year. But that's not the way it works. And he's regressed. He's not even doing what he learned during the offseason now. It's like once the bullets started to fly, he forgot. And he reverted back to just being a guy stuck in the mud. Now, a lot of people will say, well, Jim Harbaugh left and that's part of the problem. Those people have selective memory because Colin Kaepernick was terrible last year and Jim Harbaugh was there. Now, you can say it was because of the turmoil in the organization, GM versus coach versus owner. Yeah, maybe. That stuff does have a trickle-down effect. I believe it's one of the things affecting the Indianapolis Colts right now is what's going on in the building. But back to the 49ers. Harbaugh was there when he was falling apart last year, and they could not get it fixed. Now, Kaepernick is not to blame by himself in any of this. Subpar offensive line. Terrible play calling. The one thing that this coaching staff does better than Harbaugh's coaching staff is they manage the game better as far as timeouts and not taking penalties and things of that nature. Harbaugh was terrible at that. He'd blow 2 timeouts on challenges in the first half of the game, and they were nowhere close. He just did it off emotion. And, we had timeout problems and couldn't get plays ran and, all those things. This coaching staff is better with that. But this coaching staff, they just don't go for it. The last 3 games that Colin Kaepernick has played, the Seattle game comes to mind, it's almost like it was saying, let's just hand off the ball and hope for the best and let's not make a mistake. Now, part of that is Kaepernick also, because if your coaches realize that your quarterback is not confident, you really don't want to give him, 30-yard out routes and things of that nature, because you're not sure that he's confident enough to put the ball out there. So it's a combination of things, but Kaepernick can be fixed. He can be fixed. He has the physical tools. We've seen it. It's not a physical issue. It's not a lack of talent. It's in his head. He has started listening to all these people and everybody's telling him something different, and he's lost himself. He's lost himself. You are trying to be what everybody wants you to be, and that is not you. Now, when you were brought into this league, you were brought into this league as an athletic quarterback with a big arm. We have forgotten about all of that now. Now they want you to check it down. Now everybody's saying, well, mechanics, and there's nothing wrong with proper mechanics. It can do nothing but benefit them. But you can't become stagnant, and that's what he is now. He's a stagnant player with a football in his hand, waiting to get hit, and that's all he's doing. It's in his head. The first piece of advice somebody should give Colin Kaepernick is this: delete your Instagram, delete your Twitter. Because although he claims that he doesn't listen to what other people say, and he may not listen to Dilfer or any of these other guys, basically break him down. But your followers are damn sure going to tell you what was said. And you're not going to avoid that because you're on Instagram on a regular basis. You're on Twitter on a regular basis. You're on all these things. Delete your social media accounts. That's the first thing. Stop worrying about followers and fans and because they're just going to tell you all the bad things. As much as they're going to tell you how good you look in your suit, they're going to tell you that Trent Dilfer said that you suck. And you might think that you can just walk through this and it's not a big deal, but based on your play, this stuff has an effect on you. It really does. Some people are not built to take criticism, so they have to avoid it. They have to avoid it at all costs. You can't avoid it all, but don't put yourself in a position to be criticized, because if you're not strong enough to deal with it and continue to walk your path, then you're fucked up in the game. And he's fucked up in the game. He is completely confused. The Colin Kaepernick that was successful was the guy who said, okay, I'm going to throw it because I think my arm is strong enough to get it there. And if it's not, we'll try it again. The successful Colin Kaepernick was, okay, the rush is coming. I'm just going to take off and we'll worry about it later. See, Colin Kaepernick has gotten to the point now to where he's leaving first downs on the field. He's so concerned about staying in the pocket that he's not realizing there's 20 yards in front of him that he can have. So he's scrambling back there and he's sliding and trying to avoid the rush, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not you. You don't have to do that all of the time. Do you need to do it some of the time? Yes. Like Aaron Rodgers, he does it some of the time, but other times Aaron Rodgers just goes. And Colin Kaepernick has to realize you have to get back to your essence. You got to find yourself. You got to find yourself in football. What made you great? This is the problem with Colin Kaepernick. Hell, this is the problem with RG3. Both of them. They got so wrapped up in what everybody was saying and going back at who said this and who said that you lost yourself. Now you can't even play ball. I like Colin Kaepernick. I think he's extremely talented. But when your head is fucked up, your body's not going to follow. You can forget it. They're sitting him down this week and they're making claims they just want him to sit back and clear his head and this, that, and the third. Nobody clears their head sitting on a sideline watching another guy do your job. It's just a constant reminder that you didn't get it done. Until somebody sits Kaepernick down and gives him some tough love and tell him, listen, first off, all that bullshit that you do, all of the Instagram shit and Twitter shit, put all that to the side. All the trying to appease everybody, put it to the side. He doesn't have to appease the coaches because the coaches will not be there as long as him if he plays well. See, the thing about it is Colin Kaepernick doesn't even have to be great. He just has to be good. That's all. His numbers are not very different from Cam Newton's. His numbers are not very far off from Peyton Manning's this year. If you don't believe me, check the numbers. The only difference is that Cam and Peyton, when it's crunch time, they make the right decision. When Colin's in crunch time, he makes no decision. And that's the problem. Be wrong. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. But do it 100 miles per hour. Don't be on the brakes being wrong. Put your foot on the gas, and if you're wrong, so be it. But at least make a decision. The 49ers have not helped out this situation either. Like I said, terrible offensive line. Deve from the New England Patriots, they picked him up. Listen, Balky, and the 49ers front office. Here's a clue. If the New England Patriots are giving you an offensive lineman, he can't play. The Patriots have made a living on taking average offensive linemen or projects and making them good. If they did not feel they can do anything with this guy, he's not good. That's just a clue. Like, I don't understand how they're not paying attention to this. Whenever the Patriots are giving away something, walk away. Because it's not going to be an improvement for you. They bring in Pears from Buffalo, free agent, whatever he was. He's terrible. Anthony Davis retires. I understand it puts you in a spot, but you're better off with somebody off the practice squad. The right side of that offensive line is no good. It's terrible. The wide receiver situation, I don't have a big problem with it. If the offensive coordinator would put people in positions to be successful, and he doesn't do that, we should be seeing more of Quentin Patton. We should be seeing more of Ellington. We should be seeing these guys on a consistent basis. What do you have to lose? You trade away Vernon Davis. I really don't have a problem with that. You weren't going to re-sign him. Get something for him while you can. I don't personally think he is what he used to be. He can't stay healthy. He wasn't contributing. The offense is no good anyway. Trade the guy. That's the best move the 49ers made all year. I don't have a big problem with the defense. I think Mangini is doing a decent job with what he has to work with. Young cornerbacks, a young safety, but they goes down. You got a young safety back there. You got a 80% Navarro Bowman, and Bowman at 80% is still top 5 middle linebacker in the NFL, but he's only 80%. People talk about the pieces they lost on defense. That defense to me looks okay. There are games this season where the defense did their job, the offense didn't show up. We should have beat Seattle. But the offense didn't do their job. Hell, we should have beat St. Louis. The offense didn't do their job. And here's the thing that people, when they talk about the defense, that they don't understand. When your offense can't hold the ball and they constantly go 3 and out, your defense is always on the field. See, if 2 of those possessions that the defense were out there were actually being taken care of by the offense, you're giving up less points. You're giving up less yards, and you have points on the board to boot. So I'm not blaming the defense. I'm not blaming Mangini. I'm not even going there. The problem is the offense and Colin Kaepernick. Now, maybe sitting him down will help. I said 3 weeks ago he should sit. Maybe it will help. But I think sitting him down when you're 8 games into the season, I don't think it does any good. Sitting him early might have done something. I don't think it does much here. Now, they're playing the Falcons and this week in San Fran. Blaine Gabbert could actually have a good game because the backup usually will have a good game. That's just the way it goes. That first game, the backup will look great. It never fails. All right? So he'll have a good game and everybody be saying, oh, Blaine Gabbert, we should have been starting him from the beginning. Blaine Gabbert is still Blaine Gabbert. Okay? Let's not get it confused. He's the same guy. He looked better than Kaepernick in the preseason. I'll admit that. But he's still Blaine Gabbert. When the bullets start to fly, he's just going to be who he is and always has been. A big guy, strong arm, scared of the pass rush, doesn't know where to put the ball. So to sum it up, there's nothing wrong with Colin Kaepernick physically. There's nothing wrong with Colin Kaepernick from a talent standpoint. It is all in his head. And I don't know why this is so difficult for people to see, why the 49ers organization can't figure this out. It is all in his head. You got to tell him to stop listening to outsiders. When you sign a big contract, and here's the other thing. When he signed the contract, once you make that money, now the sharks really come out because they're saying, okay, you got $100 million. Now, it's a funny contract the way they structured it. It's basically a year-to-year deal. But overall, if the contract plays out, he's making a lot of money. So now the sharks really come out and they say, well, a quarterback making this kind of money has to do A or B or C. And he listened, and that was his mistake. Colin Kaepernick is going down the same road as Randall Cunningham did. And I might be going too far back for some of you. When Randall was in Philly, it was always, well, is he a runner? Is he a passer? He has to stand in the pocket. He has to do this. He has to do that. And eventually it was just over for Randall. But then he resurfaced with Minnesota. And the Vikings said, we don't care about any of that bullshit. Just throw the ball very far and run when you feel like it. And they were successful. That should have been Randall Cunningham's plan in Philly. That should be Kaepernick's plan in San Francisco. Throw the ball down the field. We do have Torrey Smith. Throw the ball down the field and run when you feel like it. We don't care about if you're doing it the conventional way. Just get it done. That's the problem with the NFL. That's the problem with so-called experts. Everybody wants things done conventionally. No, just get it done. If Colin Kaepernick goes back to just getting it done, he'll be fine. As long as he's trying to be what everybody else wants him to be, he's screwed. And that's the bottom line. He needs a shrink. And to delete fucking Instagram and delete fucking Twitter. And he'll be fine. That's all, man. I'm out.